All right, here we are, Eddie Hearn on location, straight out of Riyadh, straight into the Gold Coast, mate. Welcome.
Thank you.
Fight week is here, but I want to talk about something else first before we get into Wiley versus Deeb, Nicholson versus Singh. Congratulations to you and your father, Matchroom Sports, Netflix, Showman, the greatest showman. It's going to air later on, mate. Tell us all about it and what to expect.
Yeah, it was about 4 years ago. I watched Drive to Survive. I don't know if you've seen it, the Formula One show. And I love the way that they told kind of the behind-the-scenes, backstage stories of the sport and the events. And I thought it was really compelling. And it made me want to learn more about the sport itself. I've never been interested in Formula One until I watched Drive to Survive. So I wrote to Box, who produce Drive to Survive, Full Swing, the track and field show. And I said, if you think Formula One's compelling, you need to come and look at boxing. I said, because the backstage of the boxing story is on another level. And COVID hit, and then about 2 years ago, they came to me and they said, we want to take a look at this boxing Drive to Survive kind of show. So I was like, cool. So they come in, they film me for a couple of weeks. But whilst they were filming me, they spent a lot of time at Matchroom, and they spent some time around my dad. They spent some time around the darts and the snooker, and they're like, this is a wild business. And like the relationship between me and my dad, it's interesting, and it's a good story. And they was like, look, we want to go ahead with this project, but we don't just want to do boxing. We want to do the Matchroom story across all the sports.
And that's why Netflix, we label it as Matchroom Sports.
Yeah.
It's not Matchroom Boxing.
Exactly. Yeah, Matchroom Boxing is just, a lot of people that will watch this interview just know Matchroom for their boxing, really. We own the governing body for darts. We own the governing body for snooker, pool, so many other sports as well. And boxing is a part of that. And they came in and they was like, this is like a cross between Succession, which is a show in the UK, I don't know if you get it over here, and Drive to Survive. And it's like family business, family dynasty, but very light-hearted as well. And all the drama, not just across darts and snooker, but more importantly across boxing. Like the backstage stuff, the fights, the aggravation, the deals, everything.
You getting heated.
Yeah, basically. And for nearly 2 years, I was mic'd up. And they followed me everywhere. Like literally, it was pretty intrusive. Like I would be at a show like in my hotel room and they're knocking on my door saying, can we film you getting ready? Like I'm like, guys, leave me.
People will see that.
But you have to commit to it. If you're going to do this show properly, you can't say, and Mark, you can imagine the conversations that are happening. And I'm mic'd all the time, right? So I'll be having a fucking screaming row with someone.
Frank Smith?
No, but more people, like, I don't know, Ben Shalom, Devin Haney. Like there was loads of times where I was at Nikisa, at MVP, and there's loads of, and then afterwards you go, oh my God, and you realise I'm mic'd, and you look over and there's like a guy from Netflix, like 30 feet away, going, this is great. And it's like, oh, God. But you have to, that there isn't really anything that was removed,
Wow.
And that's, I think, you got to commit to doing that. Like you don't want to say, oh, don't put that in, put this in. This isn't just about us looking good, because there's a lot of moments in this doc we don't look good, really, if I'm honest, and we lose some big fights, and but it's real.
It's real.
Yeah, and I think it's it's big for boxing as well.
September 17th.
September 17th.
How many episode?
6 episodes. Yeah.
Wow.
So probably a second series as well, but we'll see how it goes.
A lot about you, but your father as we know as Barry Hearn, and a very polarising figure in the world of sports, and that. How obviously you've been under the camera a lot the last 20 years. To be honest, him not so much. How did he find the production?
We were a little bit like when we put it to the board. People were a bit like, this is very intrusive. Like they'll come in, they'll film board meetings. They'll film the darts. They'll film my dad all the time. Me, you really got to commit to the idea. But once he started, he's also, I don't really want to follow him around. Next thing, he's phoning him up, asking him to follow him around. Like, he loves it, really. But I think he also understands the opportunity for the business, because this is a global show. So for our profile, but not just boxing, for darts. We've just finished 2 weeks of darts in Australia and in New Zealand. And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that show will allow us to go into new markets as well with those sports. And again, like Drive to Survive, where people become fans of the sports by watching the backstage drama. and then they migrate to the live events. So yeah, I mean, I've been pleasantly surprised, even just being here for a few hours, landing. A lot of people seem to know who I am and want to talk boxing just up and down, if it's in the coffee shop, if it's, the Uber driver, whatever it is. And I think that's important, that you can build that profile for me, for Matchroom, and of course for our fighters. And so we're here in Australia ready for the next one.
Just touch on your dad, because I respect him a lot. I think he's fantastic. He doesn't go to a lot of boxing anymore. What was the last boxing event he was? Conor Benn?
Conor Benn, he was there, and Johnny Fisher. He goes to the big ones.
But he's not.
He watches
not
everything.
As much.
No, I think, to be honest, my dad was in boxing. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame promoter, and he was in boxing probably seriously up to around 50. Maybe going towards 55. He's 77 now, right?
Wow.
So he fell out of love, I think, with boxing because of the aggravation. And it's a the politics. It's very frustrating, boxing, and I don't think you don't need everybody to conform all the time, but you need people to understand your role and how good you are at what. And I think he struggled with that. It was I think you have to deal with a lot of managers and advisors and maybe co-promoters who, with all due respect, actually don't know what they're doing. And he's one of those guys where he goes, mate, I know what I'm fucking doing and I'm the best. So you're either with me or you're not. And if you're not, off you go.
Well, through the 80s and 90s it was proven.
Yeah, but it's still that case that with boxing, there's no barriers to entry. So anybody can walk into boxing. You've got a bit of money, you've got a bit of ambition, you can come in. And that's so frustrating when you're sitting down with a fighter and you're talking to a manager or an advisor, and it's like,
you don't know.
This guy's used to work in the money market, or he used to work he had a car dealership or something. It's like, guys, this is our bread and butter. This is what we do every single day. You've got to let us do our job.
365 days a year.
And I think, I'm going to say it, but it's the truth. Our track record proves it. We're honest. We don't let fighters down. We don't knock them. We don't not deliver on our promises. So we expect that track record to almost people to put your trust in you. And when people put your trust in you, that's when we deliver above and beyond. And that's the relationships I want in boxing. I don't want to deal with a fighter that I'm just thinking, they'd leave tomorrow. They don't, I want to deal with someone who says, you're my guy and I believe in you. And then we're unbreakable, and that's the relationship we want, because sometimes there isn't a lot of money in boxing, but you've got to enjoy the process and the journey and dealing with good people.
Just getting back to Barry, do you ever say to him sometimes like, Dad, it's more toxic now than when you were in? No, it wasn't, son.
Yeah, no, he knows that. Don't forget, when he was operating, there was no social media, right? He would have gone mad. That was like me and Warren for a long time. Back and forth, the clickbait, the interviews. Hearn says, Warren this, Warren this, and I said to my dad once, I went, Dad, what do you think it would have been like if you were promoting and I was around? And he went, I would have wanted to smash you straight in the face. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, because my game is to create noise, to be competitive with other promoters. That's what I'm like. And we would, obviously he's my dad, but if I was around when my dad was promoting, we would have been like that all the time. Because he's competitive as well, and that's the problem. A lot of these guys, me, Aaron, Warren, Oscar, whoever, we're all competitive and we all want to be the best.
Speaking about being the best, this week Jake Wiley takes on Yusuf Dib, August 23rd, Saturday night, live on the World Home Global of Boxing. Big fight. Jake's last outing against George Kambosos on short notice. Yusuf Dib had two big wars with Liam Wilson. How do you see this fight, and what sort of fight does this take landscape in the Australian market? I
think it's a really good fight. Look, there's a few reasons that we wanted to be involved and we wanted to do it. Number one, I have a huge amount of respect for Steve Della. As we just talked about, in a world of aggravation of sport and people who, don't seem to trust you for some reason and want to egos and all that kind. He's a stand-up guy that cares about his fighters. That's it with Steve. That's the reality. He's not trying to be this big shot promoter. He's not trying to, get himself out there as a manager and all this kind of stuff. He just wants to deliver and try and be a part of changing their life. When we did the Kambosos Jake Wiley fight, obviously he was fighting Jordan, and it was a week to go, and Jim Kambosos phoned me, he says, "You're not going to believe this, Jordan's in hospital." I'm like, oh my God. Like this is just a standard problem that you get. And I'm like, who are we going to put in? You know, you're a week out, got to fly people over, medicals, whatever. I need an Australian. And I looked at BoxRec and I thought, Jake Wiley's the guy. Now, funnily enough, when you're a big name in a country, you don't really want to fight another domestic fight against someone, because you're like, oh, like if you get beat, if George gets beat by Jake Wiley, it's a complete disaster for him.
There was no Hitchens fight.
No, and Jake's in the gym a little bit. He was, you know, and fair play, you know, I reached out to No Limit and I said, look, I'd like Jake to take this opportunity. And they let him fight, which was important for him, because I said, you shouldn't really take away this opportunity. So, I mean, it was massive money he got. In the process of that, Steve Della said to me, look, we'll do the fight, but I'd really appreciate it if you helped him out. If he does well, which we believe he will, help him out for another fight, a comeback fight. And I said, you got my word.
Right.
On the night, he was fantastic. I mean, as he grew into the fight and as he started to believe in himself, the last 4, 5, 6 rounds were pretty treacherous for George. I mean, it was a fairly close fight. George won the fight. But I just found in Jake Wiley a kid that to be honest with you, I like.
You're a great kid.
You know, and I just think, you're a good kid, you've got a good heart, you work your nuts off, you deserve something good to happen to you. And tonight, you got a payday that puts you in a great position. But now, you know, and then Steve phoned me up and said, look, we're doing, so would you mind? But we're going to do this Jake Wiley fight at Fortitude Music Hall. And I said, well, I'd like to be involved. And the reason I want to be involved is because we want to stay in the Australian market. And I promise you that we'd help out. You know, we could put other fighters on. Terra Moana was going to originally fight on the show. He's got a little niggle. And Skye Nicholson can fight on there as well.
We'll get to that, yeah.
Let's do it, Steve. And he's been brilliant. Like, you know, it's live on DAZN, but it's important for the Australian market that we keep activity going for Matchroom, for DAZN, for everybody. And I think you've got a really good main event. And, you know, I've seen Dib in the Liam Wilson fights. Good hard wars. Yeah. You know what Jake Wiley's like. I think these two will go toe to toe. Yeah. And I think it'll be really exciting.
What do you know about Yusuf Dib? Have you had a chance to sort of...
Just really those fights. I mean, I know Billy did well. I know the family, you know, they're good amateurs. And Liam Wilson can fight. Like, he's a tough cookie. And, you know, when you know that he's having a war with him in a back and forth, you know the Jake Wiley fight's going to be competitive. And tomorrow at the presser, I will say, as I said, Jake, you win this fight, you are guaranteed a big fight overseas with Matchroom. Or maybe we do another headline with you. And Yui, the same applies to you, mate. And by the way, the loser of this fight, in a great fight, will also get an opportunity overseas on a Matchroom show.
How good's that?
I just want great fights. I want to, you know, it's an interesting, funky little venue. Was it old, like 1,000, a little bit more? It's like, we call it the Australian York Hall, which is our famous venue in London. Let's have a great night. You know, and for Fortitude as well, it's nice. It's nice that they're actually being recognised for what they do within the community, the 40 years of service that Steve Della has given to boxing.
Oh, fantastic.
Because that deserves respect. I've been in boxing, I mean, my whole life, but I've been a promoter for 15, 16 years.
17.
Fucking hell.
17,
yeah. But like, to do it for 40 and to be, you know, it's constant aggravation, constant letdowns. But Steve's a selfless guy. I like him a lot, you know, and I'm pleased to help out.
One of our former world champions and the person I respect so much, Skye Nicholson, is back in Queensland. Her last fight against Gonzalez down at 122. She stopped her. Seen some training footage of her this week and photos. She looks strong. She's coming up against a girl, Urshila Singh, 12-3, tough fighter from India. Indians come to fight. Skye back down at 122. We've been told she's going to stay at 22. What do we expect on Saturday night? And how great is it to see, you know, the golden girl of Australian boxing currently right now return back to, and you've brought her back here to Queensland. Really good. I'm really excited about her future. I think it's mad that when you get beat, sometimes it can be the best thing that ever happened to you. And the reason I say that is because she felt that she was doing everything right. So for the Tiara Brown fight, prep was great. No excuses at all, right?
Now, when she got beat, it was like a level up. It was like, I need to go to another level now. She was at 126 her whole career. First thing she did was bring in a nutritionist, Lee, who's fantastic. And he said, you should be 122 straight away.
Straight away.
She's like, oh, God, I can't make 122, you know. And then the last fight was at 124.
Yeah.
Just because we wanted to test it out. This one is her first time at 122 since, I think she said in an interview the other day, since she was, I don't know, 20 or something like that, or 10 years ago. So now, physically, looks like a completely different beast.
Incredible.
Yeah. And you know, I was actually talking to Buddy McGirt on the plane from Riyadh, and he said, you know, fighters are so inactive these days, it really hampers their development. So when Skye moved very quickly, started to get into 10-round championship fights, she's on good money. You know, all of a sudden you fight 3 times a year, right, as a world champion. That's really once every 4 months.
Yeah.
It's not. So what she's doing is she's learning in the gym. She goes in there and just kind of reverts to type. She smashes everyone in sparring, looks sensational, but then goes in there and it's the same sort of thing. Bolo, you know, one shot, like, and good feet, and like you can't really get close.
Yeah.
Then it breaks down and she performs badly against Tiara Brown, and then she just reset everything. So what she did was the combination punching, the aggression that she was showing in the gym. She come to me and she said, look, forget about the money, not forget about it, but I know that right now, because I said, you got to wait now for a big opportunity. She said, look, could you do this instead? Forget the money in a sense. Give me small money, but just give me 2 fights fairly close together.
At that rate?
Where I can work with my team. I can try and do what I'm doing in training in the ring. And she go, but let's drop the level of opposition, because don't forget, she was fighting Tiara Brown, Raven Chapman, Sarah Mahfood, who was number 2 on BoxRec. Like she was fighting the best in the division.
And fighting around the world too.
Yeah, but with fairly limited pro experience, you know. Let me take these 2 fights. So she fights, 5-6 weeks ago, whatever it was, against Gonzalez. Easy fight, really. But what she did was she sat in a pocket and she unloaded 4 or 5 punch combinations and she beat her up.
Yeah.
Right? Perfect. Now she does it down at 122 against a much tougher opponent in Urvashi Singh. I think she's like 4 championship belts she's won, something like that.
Yeah.
And she's coming as this is like a golden opportunity to change her life.
Yeah.
And I expect Skye to go out there and look sensational. And that's what I want to see. She still wants the Tiara Brown rematch, which actually, within boxing, is one of the biggest fights in boxing. I mean,
agree.
The last build-up, 2 of them were brilliant. The numbers were huge. But I do feel personally that at 122, she's a real problem for everybody. You know, you've got Ellie Scott, who's an amazing champion. That's a great fight. But she's really keen, after a good showing this Saturday, to fight for that world championship again. And I think we could do something with her over here. I mean, you know, she sold a lot of tickets for Saturday night, a lot of tables and all that kind of stuff. And I think when you talk about profile of Australian fighters, hers is right up there.
100%. I want to talk to you about this. Andre Ward has called out Anthony Joshua. Andre Ward he's been the podcast of the last 2-3 years. I think he's fantastic. I thought he was a great commentator on ESPN. He's called for AJ, or he said that he'd accept it. Eddie, what are your thoughts on that? Were you shocked when that came out? And how realistically is an Anthony Joshua versus Andre Ward?
Yeah, it was actually Josh Dubin, who's a good friend of mine, Shakur's lawyer as well, and phoned me up and he was like, have you seen the video? I'm like, what? He goes, Dre's just called out AJ. I'm like, what? What's going on? Like, I don't, no, it's massive, it's this, it's that. I'm like, okay, now obviously we're negotiating with Nikisa and Jake Paul about the possibility of doing that fight, the Tyson Fury fight, now Andre Ward's calling him out. I mean, AJ's reaction when he gets called out is, let's roll. I mean, he's really is up for fighting anyway.
He's about it, isn't he?
Yeah, and I'm like, for me, I don't think that fight is as big as some people think, mainly from Andre's team. Like, Andre's an amazing fighter, one of the best of the generation. But it was a while ago, and obviously when we're looking at Jake Paul and we're looking at Tyson Fury and these kind of fights, I think with what Andre Ward might expect to make in that fight, I think they'd be quite disappointed with the commercials of that fight.
Really?
Just being honest. So it's not even something that I've looked at with him. I mean, I know that AJ would take the fight, but I think when it spits the numbers out, it won't quite be what they seem. And obviously, when we're talking about a Jake Paul fight,
that's my next question.
I mean, that's...
Is that more realistic?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
sorry to cut you off. Is that because you want to see it happen and AJ beat Paul down?
Yeah,
because I think he will.
Partly. I mean, that's partly what everybody wants to see. That's partly why people would tune in. But you have to be... I think in these kind of situations, you're better off just being honest and saying, number one, we really need a warm-up fight before we go into Tyson Fury or Usyk or Dubois or, I don't know, whoever it's going to be. He's been out of the ring for a year almost now. He's going to come back with some kind of fight. Now, is Jake Paul a warm-up fight? Not really. I mean, and I can't sit here and tell you, this is a great fight, this is competitive, this is, it's not. It's a top 75 cruiserweight fighting AJ, right? So it's not something we would ever look to make.
No.
But it's Jake Paul, right? And I can't, as someone that represents Anthony Joshua, sit back and not look at potentially the biggest payday of his career, or one of them, to fight Jake Paul, right? And, I know how big it's going to be. It's probably the biggest fight in boxing, bizarrely. And that's the world we live in today, You reckon
AJ'd want to hurt him?
I don't think he thinks of it like...
I think he does.
Yeah, I think he thinks, I'll smash him, I'll do it.
I
But what would happen is Jake Paul would, in the build-up, it would be wild, and Jake Paul would get under his skin. And I think the time the fight comes around... don't forget, Jake Paul's been saying he's got no chin, he's finished, he's this, he's that. The reality is, Anthony's not just always this really nice guy. He's a bad man as well.
He can switch.
And he will switch. And what he'll do is he'll batter him. I'd like to see it, personally. And you'll never hear me going, ooh, what a fight. No, it's going to be a potential decapitation, right? But people will tune in to watch Jake Paul become evaporated from the boxing world, And, of course, this is a business. And from the business side, I know this is massive. So we'll see.
In England?
I think in America. I do. And
really?
It's funny, MVP, Nikisa, we've always been like this. And this just, we kind of sorted that and settled that. And now the conversations are much better. But the conversations have been pretty straightforward about it. We talked through the terms, which... are quite straightforward. From now, the only way this fight doesn't happen is if Jake Paul chooses not to fight AJ. But he thinks he can win. That's the mental thing about it. He thinks he can win this fight.
12-round fight?
Whatever they want, but I would say 10, probably. No fucking around. No big gloves. No 2-minute rounds. No chance. It's a fight. The only way we take the fight is if it's a Queensberry Rules fight. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
proper boxing match.
Yeah.
And that's what they want. So, fingers crossed, let's do it.
AJ, last time he fought in America was against Ruiz.
Yeah, only one time.
One time. Wasn't good. New York.
Yeah. Well, that might be something else they're leaning on,
Way to market it.